Tonight on Treasure Detectives, Jack Plant's prototype goalie mask. A true piece of sporting history. If this item's real, it could be worth $50,000 or more.
It looks like something out of one of those horror movies.
Maybe this will give us something to go on. It's got written Plant's name.
This could have been written on there last week.
If his nose was broke, the silicone is going to copy that.
There's not that much distinction.
No.
Not an easy one.
No, it's not.
And 40-foot mural that could be worth a fortune. Has anyone seen anything like it before?
No.
Well,
Not seen anything like this at all.
This could have been something that was part of the World's Fair.
Oh, right.
what do you see now?
Yeah, I can see it, yes.
Even we, the team, were shocked. Wow.
Oh, it's freezing.
That's cold. Today I'm meeting Frank Savello, big hockey fan and memorabilia collector, who may be holding on to a truly unique piece of sports history. Frank, Curtis, good
Nice
to meet you. Hutch?
Hi, nice to meet you, Frank. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Good job
How
out
are you guys?
there.
Thank you.
Catherine, how's
Thank
the
you.
ice?
Excellent, excellent.
Right, you got a mask in here, yeah?
I do. I've got a 1959 game-worn Jacques Plot mask.
Wow.
And I picked it up about 5 years ago.
Yep.
And I've had it ever since.
So where did you get it from?
A good friend of mine had it for about 15, 20 years.
Yep.
And I happened to help him out in a large way, and this was his way of thanking me.
That's a big thank you.
It is. It is.
Jack Plant was one of the greatest goaltenders of his era. Jack and his team won 6 Stanley Cups. He was also awarded the Vezina Trophy 6 times for being the best goaltender, and even won the Hart Memorial Trophy in 1962 for being the best player in the league.
Jack Plant was the player of his time?
Yes. Yeah, one of the best.
So what's he famous for?
Wearing the first mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a prototype, huh?
Yes. Which some say makes it more valuable than the actual first mask that he wore.
So this could be the only one in existence?
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
For you guys to prove to me.
But is it right that collectors make copies of these themselves, don't they?
They do, and that's the monster of my business.
Yeah. So you must have come across a few yourself that were
I have.
that weren't
Oh,
quite
there's
right.
tons. There's tons of guys who actually make a living making replica masks.
Do they?
Yeah.
In the world of sports memorabilia, where collectors are desperately passionate, fakes and forgeries are becoming far more prevalent. It only really takes a replicated item, the right provenance, and some forger's tricks to fool the average collector. And it's a big money business. Rabid collectors pay huge sums of money for these items.
So, you know, from what I've learned already and what kind of you've told me, this is a one of a kind.
It is.
This could be a life-changing sum of money.
It could be.
And what happens to you if it sells for a fortune?
It's going to make my wife happy. I'm going to pay the mortgage off. I'm going to buy a new car, put the kids through school. It's going to do a lot of things.
That's a lot.
Yep.
I'm assuming this would be the shining glory of your collecting career
Absolutely,
as well.
yeah.
The man that found the mask.
Absolutely.
Make you famous.
I hope so.
Frank could be in possession of a real find here and a life-changing sum of money. Of course, he could be holding on to a worthless piece of fiberglass.
Well, what we will promise you is we'll do absolutely everything that we possibly can. I promise you, one thing we will deliver back to you is a conclusive answer.
Thank you.
Nothing wishy-washy. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take these retrobates with me.
Thanks, Frank. Nice
you.
meeting you.
You too. Thank
Great
you.
meeting you.
Thanks.
I'll let you get back to the ice. Thanks, Frank.
See you
See you
guys.
soon.
Bye.
Are we ready? Always. First item, Jack Plant's prototype goalie mask.
It looks like something out of one of those horror movies.
Yeah,
Yeah, it does really, doesn't it, I
Scary
suppose?
movie.
Now, if this item's real, it could be worth $50,000 or more.
Wow.
Well, hockey collectors, they're very passionate about what they collect. A Team Canada jersey from 1972 that just sold for over $1 million.
There's huge money in sports collectibles. It's big business, and it's worth a lot of money. Recently, a Paul Henderson 1972 Team Canada jersey sold for $1.2 million at auction.
So if this is the real thing, it could be worth more than that. The guy who owns it, Frank Savello, is a big hockey fan and memorabilia collector. He was given this, okay, in the last few years, and he believes It's a prototype of Plant's hockey mask from 1959. It's made of fiberglass, and inside it's got written Plant's name and September 1959 in red. Now, he wants to sell it really to support his family and put his kids through college. So this is a guy who needs this to be real.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do we know about Jacques Plant?
He was a very famous Canadian hockey player. Jacques Plant suffered many injuries to his nose while playing the game of hockey, so he had Bill Birchmore design a fiberglass mask for him.
Let's think this one through. The three elements of the investigation of this hockey mask are the material. Is this possible prototype mask made of the right kinds of materials for that time? Also, the writing on it. We've got to test the ink on this mask and find out if it's from the time period. The face. Jacques Plant had a distinctive crook to his nose from so many breaks. If this is his mask, then this is going to be a perfect fit over his face, I'm assuming. Right. Because it would have been moulded onto his face to create this prototype, wouldn't it? Since we're talking about the prototype of the first mask, it's not as if Plant could guess the size and hope it would fit. Early masks were moulded to a player's actual face using a moulding process. Obviously, this makes our investigation a lot more difficult because Jacques Plant is dead and we can't take a mould of his face. So there's got to be a way of working out whether this was made for his face or not. Catherine, Hutch, you're on the hockey mask. I want you guys to run with this, if that's all right. Has anybody got anything else for me?
I've got something, and I think it's going to be huge.
Blimey.
It's a 40-foot mural.
I'm intrigued.
Owner, Matt Burkholtz. He's an antique dealer. He purchased it in the early 80s from a flea market for $1,000. It looks like it's a period piece because of the costumes of some kind of parade or something.
It's got that kind of South American feel, that New Orleans feel, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, my first question is, what would it have been made for? I mean, that's what's
A
astounding.
40-foot mural.
Yeah, so it's obviously not been made for, you know, one person. It's not this is a unique item. So has he found out anything about this at all?
He did mention the supposed date, 1939.
Wow, that's amazing. Has anyone seen anything like it before?
No.
Well-
Not seen anything like this at all. And the good news is, Matt isn't very far away. He's in Palm Springs.
Oh, OK, never been there. It's interesting, isn't it, that an art dealer has no idea himself. This could just be a nonsense story.
So you think he might have faked a 40-foot canvas?
He wouldn't be the first, would he?
Can we get it here?
Yeah.
This is quite exciting.
It's so different. We don't do things like this
yeah,
very
I think-
often.
This isn't our normal journey. This isn't connoisseurship, technical testing. I think there's more to it than this. Have you met Matt?
I haven't, no. I've only spoken to him on the phone.
OK, so we need to get him in here and we need to see his mural, don't we?
OK, yeah, he's more than happy to come in. He just wants us to do what we do best.
Right, I think we've got a job to do, folks. Catherine, Hutch, hockey mask. Mr. Smith, the mural is all yours. Have we got the room to put it up? How big's our room? Come on, you're good at the technical side, Mr. Smith. How tall are you?
I'm 5 foot.
Lay down.
Oh, for
You're
goodness
good at this floor. Lay down.
goodness sake, you're gonna make... Do you know how long it takes me to get back up?
No, that's fine. Well, you don't have to get back up.
Oh, great, I can stay here. Well, you bring me a drink and I'll stay here.
Right. I've seen Andy like this many a time. So how tall are you? 4 foot what? Hang on, I'll do the next one.
5'7". 5'7".
5'7". If that's 12 feet.
You're like right there.
Right here.
Blimey. And this,
So
About
this
almost-
what's this about 20 feet?
So it's
almost
basically
the
as
whole
long as
size
our
of this room.
studio. You all right there, love?
Do you,
There
Andy?
you go.
I'm getting old.
Right. Shall
like the
we,
look of that.
Crack on?
Shall we crack on?
Let's crack on.
Come on then. Let's go.
You know, tell you what it makes me think. Maybe it hang in the back of a bar.
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well-
yeah, well, maybe. You could be right.
We could go to a few bars and check that out if you want.
What's that knock at the door?
Matt,
Andy,
great to meet you at
great
last.
to meet you too.
I'm
Curtis. Terrific
Nice
to
to meet you,
meet
sir. Aha.
Can't wait to show you the mural. I'm Matt Burkholtz. I'm an antique dealer and a jewelry historian. I'm here today to show Curtis and Andy a fabulous mural from the 1930s.
I'm only going to roll it out that far.
Here's this signature of 1939 on the last 6 inches.
Yeah, a video.
Who is this dude who painted it?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Let's find out who this person is. Identifying an artist that may not have even been famous when it was painted could be an impossible task. We may never find the answer. It's a very crisp, clean signature. The provenance of this thing is what's going to make the value huge. A provenance is the history and story of the item, from where it started its life to the current day. It brings art, antiques and collectibles to life. You know, if we can find out exactly what happened to this, the story itself is going to make this massively desirable.
1939 was one of those years that's a crack in American history. It's Gone with the Wind. It's The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It's probably among the 2 or 3 most important single years in the entire 20th century.
Yeah.
And I guess it always fascinated me because of that date, too.
I mean, my first thought was this was as much Caribbean, if not more Caribbean, than a New Orleans.
Yeah, maybe like Haiti and New Orleans.
There's something...
a blend of it all.
Yeah.
But isn't that part of the whole New Orleans culture?
It is, yes. Absolutely. So all we know about it at the moment is when you bought it, how much you paid for it.
Right.
But that's it.
That's it. I have a passion for the 1930s, and I'm proud of that choice I made. And the bottom line is that I love the mural. If it turns out that it's really worth a lot of money, I'll be really thrilled. This is a big mystery, and you know what? I think that's why I kept it.
Yeah.
You can just see it above a back bar, going around a room in a U, or was it somewhere even more interesting?
When we've talked about it, I thought it's an odd thing for us. It's not a Turner or a Gainsborough or a Chippendale piece of furniture or a Picasso. It's just unusual and different, and I think that's why we were quite excited about it. What we could find, just trying to play devil's advocate, is that our artist was painting in the 60s and 70s because he was recreating something to look like something from the period for the benefit of a stage show, of a bar, whatever. There is a chance, as good a chance as it being real, that it's not.
If this mural turns out to be not from the 1930s, I will be very disappointed.
We need to get to the bottom of the story to be able to deliver the truth back to you. We could turn up something a little bit more spectacular than I think you imagine. I'll tell you what I'll do. When I do get to the bottom of this, I'll come to Palm Springs to see you.
Absolutely.
Because I've never been there before.
You'll love it. It's a great place.
That's what I've heard.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
We'll look after it.
I'll walk you out, Matt.
Thanks very much.
Great to meet you at last.
Thanks, Matt.
Take care.
This mural throws up a lot of questions. Was it used as a backdrop for a set design or painted for a high-profile person or event? Items like this may be impossible to verify. We have no comparison to it at all.
I love this.
Fabulous. We both know what we're doing?
Yep.
Let's crack on. I've sent Andy to dig up clues on the 40-foot mural. We need to take a good look at the physical elements of this artwork. First, the canvas. How old is it and what's it made of? Next, the paint. Is it consistent with 90-year-old pigment? Then finally, we can investigate what this mural was used for and who painted it. Whilst Andy's investigating the canvas of our 40-foot mural, I've sent Catherine and Hutch to find out more about this possible Jacques Plant prototype mask.
I'm meeting a specialist in art materials who hopefully can tell me what the mural is painted on and how old the fabric is.
I'm Greta Waller. Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you. Thanks for seeing me, Greta.
My name is Greta Waller. I have a specialization in art materials, traditions, techniques since 4th century BC.
What we're looking for is your opinion on whether this is an old material rather than something that's been made, say, in the 70s or something and redone.
Let me just take a look
See
right
what you
here.
think.
Well, first off, I can definitely 100% tell you this is linen because of the color and just the thin weave. We can tell just from feeling the linen that it's very, very, very tightly woven. Because if you look in there, you see how the weave is...
It's very precise, isn't it?
It's precise.
So would that have been quite expensive in its day?
Yes, linen was going for about $136 a
Of
yard.
that money back in those days, which was a lot of money. Do you think that it's possible that this piece could have been made in 1939?
Definitely.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
That's great.
And it's prime linen, so, I mean, in the
Brilliant.
1930s,
Great.
you had to be
That's
somebody
really
to get
good.
that.
That's excellent. Linen has been a standard painting surface for centuries, but it was very expensive. The linen in this mural, by today's standards, would have been about $90,000 worth. Before we find out what this mural was painted for, we need to lock down the time frame by verifying the age of the paint.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Take care now.
You too.
This is going to be great to get some history on,
I know.
how these masks are made and everything.
Jake's Custom Pro Shop. All right,
I wonder
here
if
we
he's
are.
got any old ones.
How you doing?
Hi, Jake, I'm Catherine.
Jake, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Hey,
meet
Jake,
you.
I'm Hutch. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
So we've got with us today a hockey mask that could be the prototype of Jacques Plante's first hockey mask.
Okay.
Even though Jake of Jake's Pro Shop looks like he's barely old enough to shave, he knows a lot about hockey. In fact, his shop is right down the block from the LA Kings training facility, and he gets a lot of the team's business. When were the first masks worn?
The original mask would have been like a leather piece, and they'd only wear it through their injury. You were looked at as not as strong or not as tough by not
Kind
wearing
of a
mask.
wuss.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Not so manly
Yeah.
having to wear a mask.
Jacques Plante was the first goalie that wore it full-time. The story goes Andy Bathgate hit him with a shot in the face.
Okay.
He goes to the locker room. He tells Toe Blake, his coach at the time, that he's not coming out unless he wears the mask. Toe Blake doesn't have a backup goalie, so he has no choice. He sends him out there. They end up going on like an 11-game winning streak, so he couldn't change at that point. Other goalies saw that Jacques Plante was wearing the mask. He was one of the better goalies at the time, so it gave it credibility.
Is he one of the more recognized hockey players?
Yeah, he's one of the best of all time. He's a Hall of Famer. He was a rare breed.
What were the first masks made out of?
The first masks were fiberglass. They'd take a mold of your face with plaster, and then they'd hand lay sheets of fiberglass. That would cure overnight and harden, and you had a mask.
I noticed you've got quite a few masks up here.
This is actually the Jacques Plante mask right here. And you can see this is all hand-laid fiberglass. This is a replica made by a guy in Canada. You know, that was the cool thing about these masks, is you can make them out of your garage, basically.
Let's get ours out and compare it. So here's ours, and it's the prototype of that mask.
Wow. This is cool. Well, it's definitely fiberglass. And you see, this is painted brown. That's one of the ways you can tell it's fake. The original was an off-white color, and then it turned brown over time.
There are a lot of similarities.
It looks like the height is pretty similar, too.
Overall shape of the face is
Yeah.
right, too.
The mouth shape is completely different.
Yeah, the mouth is different. This could have been an earlier prototype that they were experimenting with.
Would it be hard to replicate one of these masks? Does it take a lot of time and money, or is it pretty relatively easy to do?
No, it is pretty easy. It's easy to buy fiberglass, put some resin on it, make a mold of the mask, and you can recreate it pretty easily.
So you think that they could also make something like this fairly easy?
Yes. Now, that does have some aging to it. You can see it's turned kind of yellow, so that's trickier to fake. But you could do that by kind of coloring the epoxy that you put in there, too.
There's some writing in there, too, and it says Jacques Plante, September 1959.
The date matches, and they probably would have wrote his name on there when they were making the mold, so they knew which mask was which.
The writing of the mask is very suspect to me. If we've got nothing else to compare it to and they didn't make any others, why label it in the first place? We need to get this red writing tested to see whether or not that ink fits into the 1959 period. Well, I think you've given us a lot of information, Jake, and we're very thankful.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. I really like that we got to compare our mask to, replica of Jacques Plante's
Yeah,
mask.
hopefully it helped a little bit.
Yeah, I think it did a lot, and it was neat to, learn the evolution, too. So thank you so much.
You. Great.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jake.
guys.
Now, this mask, the owner says that it's a prototype, right?
Right.
And it's fiberglass, and you can't test fiberglass for age. So this writing might tell us something, because I don't know what it is, but there's a very good chance that it's got to be, what is it, pen or ink or
Kind of almost
crayon?
looks like, like a crayon.
He says it's a prototype of Plante's face, and the manufacturer wrote that inside it. So would you go to all the trouble of writing that inside the mask, though?
Well, I don't know why you would exactly. If it's a prototype, it's going to be the only one that's made like that, so why would you need to date it?
Well, I think, I agree with you. Why would you put September 59? If that's the only prototype, they could have made a few. Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe this will give us something to go on, because at the moment, we can't date this mask at all. We've got no evidence to say it's 1959 or 69 or 1999. We've got to test the ink on this mask and find out if it's from the time period. And the first step on that is to look at it properly under the microscope. We want to find out what kind of ink is it. So, I mean, let's have a look. You can see that there's a break in the line. So the line is not completely solid. You can almost see through it.
It's a little porous.
Yeah. OK, right. I want to compare the different types of pens we've got to the writing on our mask.
Okay.
So could you grab a piece of...
Underneath the microscope?
Yeah. Yeah, let's light it up.
This'll work. What do you want me to write this, September?
Yeah, why not? Pop it in.
Here's ballpoint pen.
Let's see what we can get.
And it does kind of look like that because it's a little bit porous. And you can kind of see, you know, you can see the background through the ink.
But it's too thick for ballpoint pen, isn't it? Or it doesn't look right.
Yeah, it looks thicker than that. And this is the felt tip pen. I do know that felt tip pens, they were created in 1962. So if this is felt tip, then it wouldn't have been written on there in felt tip pen in 1959.
Well, it's definitely not that, because the felt tip pen covers everything, because it just seems to be heavy and thick. A bit
It's
like,
solid. It's
yeah,
more
a bit
solid.
like painting a wall. It kind of covers everything, whereas this doesn't cover anything.
I think it resembles the ballpoint pen way more than it does the felt tip pen because you can see through it. It's a little bit porous.
OK.
So we're still between ballpoint pen and possibly this wax pencil.
Let's have a look at your example of a wax pencil.
There we go.
See, now that looks more like it. It looks more like a wax pencil than anything else. And wax pencils were used a lot in the 50s, right?
They were.
So does that mean this helps us date this mask to the 1950s?
It's consistent with what they used, like you said, but then again, I just bought this yesterday. So this could have, this could have been written on there last week. I think at this point, what we really need to do is recreate Jacques Plante's face and see if the measurements and everything line up with this mask. I think that's our next step.
Not an easy one.
No, it's not.
I need you to do some mixing of paints for me because I'm going to start trying to sketch. I'm not going to go crazy. I don't want it to be an all-night job. I want to recreate a section of this mural. I want to see whether I can get the flow of this artist. Then we're going to compare them both together under the black light, and newer paint will appear different under testing than paint that was laid down in the 1930s. Good movement, though. The movement in this is fantastic.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Throw caution to the wind.
I'm going to try to, Mr. Smith.
Said, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead.
Abso-blinking-lutely. Not bad for a couple of hours' work.
Yeah, that should do it. Yeah, I think so.
Evening, Mr. Smith.
Evening. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I shall expect rapturous applause in a moment.
OK. I'm astounded every time Andy creates one of his jerry-rigged contraptions.
There you go.
Ah.
You see?
Well, Mr. Smith, I think you've surpassed yourself. I'm even more astounded when they work. You've created a mini darkroom.
I have.
The next step is to get this mural under a black light. Let's see if we can find out whether the paint is indicative of being from the 1930s. Right, let's get the other one out. I created a small copy of the mural using modern paint so we can compare it to the pigment in the paint of the actual mural. Shall we try and put it in this way? Once you get paint under a black light in a dark environment, there's going to be a number of things you can look for. Most importantly, though, it will fluoresce newer paint. So if our mural is brand new, it will light up. But if it is old paint, we will be able to see if it's been touched up over the years.
Let's close ourselves in.
Now, look. This is my fake mural. What do you see now?
Yeah, I can see it, yes.
Yeah, look at the fluoresce. This is Matt's mural. You're not...
Nothing at all there. You just get a reflection because of the shine.
Yep.
So there's no fluoresce there, but yeah, I can see
You're getting a fluoresce because the paint is new and the paint... Look at her head. Look.
Yeah, look
so
at
if
that.
we had any new paint on this whatsoever,
That's what it would look like.
it would stand out an absolute mile. So 2 things we know. 1, this has never been embellished with new paint. And secondly, it's old. This is from the period that we are saying, if not slightly older.
Brilliant.
2 questions remain about this mural. Who was Ovidio, the artist, that created this fabulous item with top-quality linen canvas and top-quality paint? And also, what was it made for? Come on, I think you've done enough work for the day. And I don't say that very often.
No, you don't, do you? Today, I'm in posh Beverly Hills, where I'm meeting an art historian who's hopefully going to tell me about the scene depicted in the mural and the style of the painting.
How do you want to look at this? Can we roll it out?
We can roll quite a bit of it out, yes.
Why don't we do that? I'm Kevin Anderson. I'm a specialist art dealer in 19th and 20th century European and American paintings. I have a gallery, and I'm also a certified appraiser. Ovidio, well, now we have a last name.
Yeah, it looks like Ovidio Garcia.
Garcia, Ovidio Garcia. Well, yeah, I mean, now we have
that name, because we haven't.
You know, I haven't heard that name. I've got a book we could look up and see if he's listed.
That would be useful, yeah.
This has been compiled. This is artists from all over the world, and so all we can do is look. Here's the Garcias. Milo, LM. No.
We've been trying to figure out what kind of thing something like this would be used for.
It certainly looks like a celebration is going on here, doesn't it? It looks like a Mardi Gras, or looks like some kind of a party is going on. You know, can we unroll a little bit more of it? Huh, okay. Well, looking at this, these figures almost look to me, I mean, like they're Latin. They've kind of got flamenco, samba, carnival, things like that. This could have been something that was part of the World's Fair.
Oh, right.
So the 1939 World's Fair was in New York City. There were actually 3 different events that this could have been part of. There was an African American week that ran at the close of 1939 for the fair. There was a Mardi Gras week with parades and floats and all kinds of celebrations that also ran then. And then finally, there's this Brazilian pavilion. So I think that's a really good route for you to take. I think something like this, maybe one could ask $75,000 for this. 100, you're getting into territory now where it should probably have an exhibition history that it was part of the World's Fair. The more you know before you start to sell it, the higher price you're going to get.
That's definitely a brilliant starting point for me to see if it is catalogued or something like that. The value of the mural will go through the roof if we can link it to the World Fair. And Kevin has given me some great ideas where I can go to find more information about it. Okay. And it's fun.
Yeah,
I like
fun.
working with this one.
All right, Andy.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
See any numbers around here?
Yeah, here we are right here.
Okay.
Cinema makeup school. You wanna go make a face?
Let's make a face.
Today we're meeting with Wayne from Cinema Makeup School to see if we can make a mold from the inside of our mask.
How you doing, Catherine?
Must be Wayne. Nice to meet you, Wayne.
I'm Hutch.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
Welcome to Cinema Makeup School.
Thank you.
Is that the mask?
This is the mask.
All right, let's do this.
Okay. Once we make this mold, we should know that it'll fit Jacques Plante's face because he had some very distinct features. He suffered some serious breaks to his nose because he was getting hit all the time with hockey pucks. So if this is really Jacques Plante's mask, the mold we make should look exactly like pictures of him from 1959.
So our client, Frank, brought us this mask and said that it possibly belonged to Jacques Plante.
Jacques Plante got so many injuries that his nose was kind of misshapen.
Wow.
And so that's why he started wearing the mask. That's why we want to recreate his face so that we can see if it's him.
I'll get it as close as possible for you guys so that maybe you guys can see if it really is him. Silicone is the material that we're going to be casting in here to try to get that lifelike appearance. Hopefully you guys can see that, you know, that distorted nose. I'm just loosely putting this on here for now, just to protect the face of it for right now, because I'm going to make a little bed out of wet clay. It's a water-based clay. Actually was designed by Walt Disney. Then I'll mix up some silicone, and it's a platinum silicone. It's what they would use in the movies for high-quality prosthetic pieces. And then I'll put a little bit of skin tone in there, so that way it's more lifelike.
And that's just like a makeup powder, right?
Exactly. Ready for silicone. If his nose was broken, the silicone is actually going to copy that exact shape as we pull this out. So this is looking pretty good. I'll go ahead and blow dry this to make sure that the silicone is 100%. Here you are. You can get pretty close to it. Yeah. All right, I think we're done. All right, you guys ready?
This is the moment of truth.
Let's do it.
All right, go ahead and grab that mask. Oh, here it comes.
Wow, that looks good.
You can see the saran wrap did make some wrinkles, but you have the overall form.
You can see the deformity of his nose where obviously he had an injury. I mean, this is exactly what we needed to see.
All right, we've got the pictures here. Let's do our comparison. See how that curvature of his nose right here kind of comes down? You can kind of see that definition there.
The nose looks great, but he had a very sharp, protruding chin. And you notice how his mouth is set back, and on our mold, the mouth and the chin are at the same level.
There's not that much distinction.
No. The bridge of his nose kind of indents towards the top.
Right here?
Where the break was above.
Right there?
Wayne's mold of our mask looks very similar to Jacques Plante's face. The nose is perfect, but there was something about the chin that just wasn't working. We've got to get this back to headquarters to Curtis.
My journey has taken me to the New York Public Library, where I'm meeting an archivist so I can look into the mural to see if it was at the 1939 New York World's Fair.
Your mural could be anywhere within these 1,100 acres.
I don't suppose somewhere there might be a list of artists that we use there.
Here we are, the inventory of the exhibition.
Oh,
So-
fantastic.
Here's the exhibition of contemporary art painting.
We're looking for Ovidio Garcia.
Daniel Garber, Leonard Garfinkel, Aranzo Gasparo. So I think this can confirm that this mural was not in the contemporary art
wasn't
exhibit.
there.
That it might be used for something ephemeral, meaning a 1 or 2 day event, and it wasn't sort of built. It wasn't part of the built
So
environment.
they had like sort of floating ones
Yeah,
that came in and just
yeah,
stayed for a few days and went away. There was a section of the park where they had rolling exhibits, so there would be displays and things like that, and that could be where possibly the mural was shown. It could have been something for like a sideshow.
This issue, Fair Frolics, a review of fun and facts at the fair. The American Jubilee.
Gay New Orleans, 3 shows in one, plus some amusing sideshows. One of the most exciting points was when we found a pamphlet and it mentioned a Mardi Gras casino.
Swing Mardi Gras Casino. There are some murals up on the walls, but none that look like yours.
No.
Still another dead end.
I've been working for hours looking through pamphlets, looking at pictures, looking at maps, and emotionally it's been like a yo-yo.
There's 43 photographs.
When there are interior shots, it's very plain behind them, isn't it? It's very...
There's no evidence of the mural.
I really, really wanted to see this mural in a picture or a mention of it somewhere in one of these pamphlets or documents. I did not find one shred of evidence to link it to the 1939 New York World's Fair. Disappointed is an understatement. Thomas?
The search continues.
The search goes on.
All right.
I guess you better show me out.
All right.
My journey continues.
Hello, Frank.
Curtis.
How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good. Looking a bit tired?
Oh, just a little tired. I'm here this morning to find out if my mask from 1959 is real or fake. I'm a little nervous because that can change a lot for me and my wife and my 2 kids.
We've been busy with this. Sports memorabilia is selling for millions now. So any journey like this that you put a team on has to be 100% accurate. Makes sense. The first place you take it to is someone who's an expert in hockey masks and hockey memorabilia. We took this mask to Jake's Pro Shop. We were lucky enough to sort of make some comparisons with other hockey masks that have been replicated from Jacques Plant, because the one thing about these things, they were replicated a lot. Now, fiberglass doesn't age, which gives you a problem, because you can't date fiberglass. So what we wanted to do was look at the ink and the writing inside. Now, we took this mask and did an ink test under the microscope. On a positive note, the ink turned out to be wax pencil, which was used extensively in 1959 on things like this. The negative side of that is that these wax pencils are still available today, and they are available from most good art shops. And then we took the mask to the cinema makeup school, and we took a mould from inside the mask. Now, the positives here is that the nose and the cheekbones did look similar to Jacques Plant's. The negatives, however, is that the chin, which was very protruding on Jacques Plant, is very, very different to what we expected to see and what we got from our mould. And it would have been really simple to take a proper mould from the Jacques Plant mask that we do know is original and make a copy from it. Something like this, because of the value, we're very sensitive to make sure that no stone's been left unturned. So, we spent a long time on this, and we have come to a 100% accurate conclusion. And that is, this isn't a Jacques Plant prototype mask.
Wow. Very disappointed. I thought for sure I had the real thing.
One thing you've definitely got is the truth from all this work that's gone on.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I wish I could have told you something different, Frank.
Thank you very much, Curtis. I'm disappointed. I had the money spent already. You know, the kids were on their way to college, and I had my new SUV, and the mortgage was paid off. So, yeah, you know, that's not going to happen, at least not now.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Curtis.
Good morning, Matt.
Hey, Curtis.
How
Great
are
to
you,
see
sir?
my mural in a box. Great to
Absolutely.
see you. Great to see it.
It's back home with you.
It's back home, yeah. I can't wait to get some answers.
I have to tell you, we've fallen in love with it.
It's a great piece.
I think of all the items in quite a few years, I think this one has probably had the most amount of work. The first thing that was important for us to do is we put it under a black light. It's, first of all, the paint isn't new. The second thing is, it hasn't been touched up at all. So, from its creation to today,
Original.
nobody's put a hand on that paint whatsoever. Now, the art appraisers that we went to believe this was from the World's Fair.
Really?
Yeah. If it is New York World's Fair 1939, we've got exactly what we wanted
We've
to
got
find.
architectural history and art and everything all combined in one.
Yeah. Now, the art appraiser, he was more than happy to say, if it could be linked to the New York World's Fair of 1939, he was pretty certain it would be high 6 figures. High
Wow.
6 figures. $700,000, $800,000, $900,000. Even we, the team, were shocked. I was shocked. And just as an item alone, without being linked to the World's Fair, he could get $75,000 for it today.
The fact that this piece could be worth close to $1 million If it actually hung at the World's Fair, that's really exciting to me.
The journey for the New York World's Fair has been mind-numbing. The New York Public Library's got 13,500 records and digital images of the World's Fair. I mean, in total, that's over 16,000 images have been gone through to look for this.
To look for this.
Yeah. Well, after all that, I have come to a conclusion. Whether it was the 39 World's Fair or not, is we don't know.
Had a feeling you might say that, but it's still a great piece of art. Sure, I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed. It's not even mine.
Right.
So,
thank you.
I mean, you're
I'm
a core
you know,
customer.
But the bottom line is it's still going to be a windfall for me. But the answer about the 1939 World's Fair is disappointing.
We've determined that the murals could have hung at one of 3 pavilions at the 1939 New York World's Fair. But we've simply not been able to verify that. And until we do, we just won't be able to determine whether Matt's $75,000 mural is potentially a $1 million masterpiece of memorabilia. I'm sorry.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate all of your efforts in my behalf.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for visiting me here in the store.
I'll see you again.
Thank you.